Except for the parade of walkers and a few bicyclists, I was the only thing moving on the road. We were the center of everybody's attention. I almost felt guilty, driving while everybody else was hoofing it. Suddenly, a man jumped off the curb in front of me, waving his arms widely. I swerved, easily avoiding him. He yelled out a stream of swear words that came in through the open window as we rolled along. Up ahead, the intersection was partially blocked with stalled cars and people milling around the vehicles. There wasn't really a clear path. I slowed down, but then Herb leaned over and placed a hand on my horn. It blared out a warning, and people slowly moved to the side, some of them shooting resentful looks our way. "Just keep going," Herb ordered. We passed right through the gap. "It's important not to stop," he said. "You can't help them. Just keep driving." "Where are we driving to?" "Jameson Pools. At that little shopping center down Burnham toward the bridge." "But you don't even have a pool." "It's all about opportunity." "You're going to get a pool?" "Of course not. Your parents let me use yours whenever I want." "You know where the pool place is, right?" "I know where it is. I just don't know why we're going there." "To purchase chlorine." "Again, you don't have a pool," I said. "Chlorine is a very essential chemical and one of the few things I don't have in stock. Look, more vehicles." Up ahead, two motorcycles were coming toward us. They were small, and one of them looked more like a 12-year-old's dirt bike than a street-legal machine. "That makes sense," Herb said. I started my snowblower, lawnmower, and rototiller, and they all worked because they don't have computers. "Do you still have your old mini bikes?" My old school mini bikes probably had smaller engines than his lawnmower. "Yeah, but one of them hasn't worked since last summer." "It can be fixed." Up ahead was a little strip mall with the pool store. We pulled into the parking lot. More people were standing around their vehicles, many of them peering into their engine compartments. I pulled to a stop right in front of the pool place, with everybody watching us roll in. "Lock the doors behind us," Herb said. We got out, and Herb grabbed the door of the store. It was shut tight. "Damn," Herb said. "We'll have to go someplace." "No, wait, there's somebody in there." He started pounding his fist against the glass. A man appeared. He turned the latch and cracked open the door. "We're closed," he said, and started to pull the door closed. Herb grabbed it and kept it open. "I just need to make a quick purchase," he said calmly. "Sorry, but without electricity, there are no credit cards and no cash register is working." "How about straight cash?" Herb pulled out a wad of bills that made my eyes go wide. "You don't want to turn away business, do you?" He also offered the guy a big smile. "What do you want?" "Could we talk about that inside?" Herb asked. "I'm not feeling comfortable out here with this much cash in my hands." I glanced over my shoulder. We were being watched. The man allowed us in. Herb locked the door behind us. "Stay by the door," Herb said to me quietly. "Keep an eye on your car." I nodded. "So, what do you need?" the man asked. "Chlorination tablets." "You came out today to get those?" "Yes, tablets, sticks, or crystals, whatever you have." "I have a special on 1-inch tablets right over there. How many containers do you want?" the man asked. "How many do you have?" "This is a pool store, my friend. I want to purchase as many containers as $2,000 can buy." "Seriously?" the man said. "Didn't that money look serious to you?" "But why would you need that much?" Do you want my money or don't you? Herb asked. Of course. But how are you going to haul all that chlorine away? You're going to help us get it into his car, Herb said, pointing at me. I'd be happy to do that, but wait, you have a car that works? Are you going to make a sale or to play 20 questions? Let's work out the details and get loading. Herb and the man started to discuss numbers. I was more interested in what was going on outside the store. Lots of people seemed to be looking and pointing in our direction. It was starting to concern me. Grab a couple of buckets, Herb called out. Yeah, sure. There was a big display of 25-pound plastic containers stacked in a pyramid. Herb and I each grabbed one per hand. The salesman took one and then unlocked the door with his other hand. That's not a very big vehicle, he said as we stopped beside my car. Hopefully big enough for 42 pails, Herb said. Let's start with the trunk. I put down the pails, pulled out my keys, and opened it up. The trunk was big and empty. I'll start loading, and you two hustle out with the rest of the buckets, Herb ordered. Back and forth we went, 2 pails at a time, putting them down and letting Herb load them up. What is he going to do with all this chlorine? The pool store man asked me at one point. I have no idea. But he's okay in the head, right? He asked. I don't want anybody to accuse me of taking advantage of some poor old-timer. Don't worry about him. I have no idea what he wants, why he wants it, but he's got his reasons. We grabbed another load and headed out. Herb now had the trunk and back seat pretty well loaded. He popped some buckets open and was jamming individual plastic wrap packages of chlorine to fill in the spaces between the other pails. We have to squeeze them in wherever we can or they're not going to fit, he explained. I still don't know why you want this much, the man said. I'm planning on having the most disinfected pool in the world. How many containers to go? 8 more, I think, the salesman said. They should all fit in if I do this right. Adam, you help me finish up these while he gets the rest out here. The salesman headed back into the store as Herb opened up another pail. Hey there! Somebody called out behind us. Herb and I turned around. A group of men had broken away from the crowd and were closing in on us. They were middle-aged, and 3 of them were wearing suits and ties, hardly threatening looking under normal circumstances, but this wasn't normal, and there was something edgy about them. That car runs, the largest man said. Yep, it does, Herb said. Look, one of the others said, we all need a ride. The others nodded in agreement. Everybody needs a ride today, Herb said. We have money. We don't want your money, and we can't help you. Already got a full load. Sorry. Gramps, I'm trying to be friendly about this, the big guy said. He took a couple of steps forward, and the others followed along, fanning out slightly. Each of them had an air of desperation. First off, I'm not your grandpa, Herb said. And second, you're not being that friendly. Please leave us alone. Look, old man, there's 6 of us, and we need your car. One way or another, we're going to... Herb brushed back his jacket to reveal a pistol in a holster. They all froze in place, and so did I. You're pulling a gun on us? The big guy demanded. Not pulling. Showing you this weapon that I have, a permit to carry, and how to use it. The guy laughed. It seemed a nervous laugh. So what are you doing? Threatening to pull a gun on us? If necessary. There was a matter-of-fact tone to Herb's response that made him sound scary. His voice was so calm and cool that I almost felt the chill. "You shouldn't fool around with a gun. Somebody could get hurt," the man said. "Back off, friend, or somebody will get hurt." Herb pointed a finger directly at the man who had been doing most of the talking. The man laughed again. This time it was definitely nervous. "You can't go around threatening people," the man said. "You can't go around threatening to steal a car," Herb replied. "Have any of you ever tried this kind of stunt before?" "Of course not," the third man protested, and the others mumbled in agreement. "Then don't let a few hours of inconvenience without electricity make you do something you'd never do, something you're going to regret as soon as things start working again." Right before my eyes, the men's stances wilted, their expressions softened. "It's just that we're worried," one of them said. "It's only reasonable to be worried," Herb said. "We didn't mean any harm," a man who hadn't spoken before explained. "We're just trying to get home to our families," another added. "I understand, but there's no point losing our heads, is there?" The big man looked down at the ground. They'd gone from acting like a mob to looking like a bunch of embarrassed little boys. "Don't worry," Herb said. "This is just going to turn out to be nothing. An hour or so, and it'll be sorted out." "You think so?" "We've all lived through power failures and computer glitches before. No big deal, right?" Herb asked. Again, general agreement. "You could wait," Herb said, "but why don't you lock up your cars here and start walking? The sooner you get moving, the sooner you'll be home to make sure your families are fine." They started muttering among themselves and moving away. I didn't care where they were going. I was just glad they were leaving. "And good luck," he called out. "I'm sure everything will be all right." They turned, waved, and kept going. I let out a big sigh of relief. Whew. "I didn't like that," I said. "People can act pretty strange when things don't go normally. Let's finish loading up," Herb said. Quickly, we filled the car with the last of the chlorine and climbed in. Before I turned the key, I had another small panic attack. What if it didn't start? But it turned over on the first try, and the engine roared. All around, people turned to look. "Put it in gear and let's get out of here," Herb said. I didn't need to be told twice. I backed out and then headed for the street. "What made you change your mind about it being over soon?" I asked. "I didn't. I was just trying to calm the situation. Of course, the weapon helped." "I can't believe you're carrying a gun." "We live in dangerous times. A lot of embassy staff had to carry one." "Even paper pushers?" "You bet. In some countries, embassy staff members are the prime targets for kidnapping and terrorist attacks. Just read the newspaper." "But you're retired." "I guess I just got used to having it. I'm legally registered to carry a sidearm." I supposed he had no reason to lie to me about this, although I'd mentioned it to my mother. "I'm just glad they didn't challenge my bluff about the gun," he said. "There was more danger that I'd shoot my foot off than hit one of them." "You have a gun but don't know how to use it?" "I had some training, but it was a long time ago." "You seem pretty confident," I said. "I'm a pretty good actor. That's a lot of what diplomacy is about." If he didn't know anything about guns, then he was a good actor back there in the parking lot. Or maybe he was acting right now. "Do you think they were really going to try to steal my car?" "Don't be surprised. Situational ethics can take root in a very short time." He could see from my facial expression that I had no idea what he was talking about. It's simple. The way people act, what they believe is wrong or unethical, changes because of the situation. None of those men woke up today thinking they'd try to steal a beat up old car from a kid and an old man. Things change, especially when a mob mentality sets in, Herb said. 6 of them hardly makes a mob. It's not the numbers, but the attitude. The situation set the stage for their action, provided the fuel, but the big guy was going to be the one to ignite them. Always take on the big dog when you're attacked by a pack. They were people, not a pack of dogs. He smiled. Of course, but I've learned the two have some things in common. Was that part of your embassy work? I asked. Taking on the big dogs? Part of my life. His cryptic responses were driving me a little crazy. So all embassy staff have to be trained to carry weapons. You're no stranger to firearms either. Your mother is a police officer. And don't you have long guns in your house? We have a couple of rifles. We had 3 actually, and a shotgun, secured with the ammunition in a lockbox. The first thing my mother did when she got home every night was to lock away her service revolver in that box. Then I realized he'd avoided answering my question by asking me one. So some of the places you worked and lived were pretty dangerous. Danger is a relative thing. But compared to here, almost every place in the world is more dangerous than here. Living in this incredibly wealthy country dulls people to the realities of other places. And those other places? I've been stationed in countries where there was virtually no infrastructure or rules, no effective police, spotty communications, virtually no transportation, no running water, no electricity. He laughed. Sort of like it is right here, right now. But this is different. It's only temporary. It's only temporary after it's been fixed. But it will be fixed, I said. He didn't answer. Right? Of course it will. It's all a matter of time. Are you still wondering about the chlorine? Again, he was changing the subject, but I did want to know about it. Do you know about the rule of 3? He asked. I shook my head. It's an expression that has to do with emergency survival situations. You can go without air for 3 minutes, without water for 3 days, and without food for 3 weeks, he explained. Beyond that, you're dead. In controlled doses, chlorine, the stuff that you put in your pool to kill bacteria and algae, can keep the water clear, can make contaminated water fit for drinking. That made sense. With the power going out, the entire system for maintaining fresh drinking water is gone. Not only can't they sanitize the water, but they can't deliver it. That all relies on pumps. But why would you need this much of the stuff? I asked. And then I realized why. You think this is going to last a long time, don't you? I don't know that, he said. I just know that it's better to have something and not need it than to need it and not have it. But this much? I hope I don't need it. And if the computers start working again soon, then I guess I'll have to get myself a pool.